Tonight, I want to talk about something that will challenge everything you think you know about relationships and attraction. It's not about physical beauty, charm, or playing games. No, it's about something far more powerful: detachment. Yes, the woman who knows how to detach, the one who stands strong and self-sufficient, commands the attention of every man in the room. Why? Because deep down, every man is drawn to a woman who doesn't need him, but chooses him. This truth, simple as it may sound, holds the key to understanding relationships in a way that will transform your life. Now stay with me as we dive deeper into why men simply cannot resist women who practice detachment. The power of detachment. Detachment is not about withdrawing from the world, nor is it about being cold or distant. It's the ability to be independent without being unfeeling. A woman who detaches knows her worth. She doesn't cling to others for approval or validation. She's not desperate for attention, yet she attracts it effortlessly. You see, it's in this quiet confidence that men find themselves captivated. She's not needy. She is whole, complete in herself. Detachment doesn't come from a place of lack. It comes from a place of strength and self-assurance. When you're not chasing after affection, you become magnetic to those around you, especially to men who value independence and self-respect. Men can't resist this kind of power, and neither should you. Understanding attraction. Have you ever noticed how some women can enter a room, and it feels like all eyes are on them? It's not just the way they look, though they may be beautiful. It's the energy they carry, the power of detachment. When you detach, you free yourself from the chains of constant worry and need for approval. Men can't resist that power because they sense it. It's not in what you say, but in who you are. Attraction is not about seeking validation from others. It's about becoming so comfortable in your own skin that others can't help but be drawn to you. A woman who practices detachment does not crave attention. She simply exists in her own strength, and that makes her unforgettable. The myth of neediness. The world tells us that a woman must be soft, needy, always wanting to be loved and cared for. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Men are not drawn to neediness. They are drawn to strength, to a woman who stands on her own 2 feet, knowing that she can thrive, with or without anyone else. The woman who doesn't beg for affection is the one who commands it. This doesn't mean she's unloving or unkind. It simply means that her love doesn't come with strings attached. She knows that true love is not about dependency, but about mutual respect and choice. Men are not looking for someone to take care of them emotionally, and neither should you be looking for that. Instead, they are drawn to women who can stand strong on their own, and choose love because they want it, not because they need it to feel whole. Confidence and independence. When you practice detachment, you show that you are not afraid to stand alone, and that's incredibly attractive. Confidence isn't loud. It's quiet and unshakable. A woman who is detached from the need for constant attention becomes magnetic. She knows that her happiness comes from within, not from the approval of others. And because of this inner peace, she becomes irresistible. It is in this quiet confidence that men are captivated. Confidence is not about arrogance, but about knowing who you are and being comfortable in your own skin. The more detached you become from the need for external validation, the more self-assured you will be. This self-assurance becomes magnetic, and it is this magnetic energy that makes men want to be around you, not because you need them, but because you choose them. Respect and value. There is a simple but powerful truth that men understand. Women who detach demand respect. When you attach yourself to someone out of need or insecurity, you lower your own value. But when you detach, you send the message that you are valuable just as you are. A woman who knows her value doesn't have to prove it to anyone. Her very presence does that. She doesn't just attract a man, she attracts respect, admiration, and the desire to earn her attention. This is where true attraction lies. When a man sees that a woman knows her worth, he is compelled to step up and meet her on her level. He understands that to win her affection, he must offer her the same respect and value she offers herself. Building healthy relationships. Finally, let's talk about the health of the relationship. A woman who detaches isn't emotionally needy. She is not looking for someone to complete her, but to add to her life. This makes relationships stronger, as they are based on mutual respect and choice, not dependency. The relationship flourishes, not because of need, but because two complete individuals come together to grow, support, and cherish each other. This is where true connection happens. When both partners are emotionally independent, they bring their best selves to the relationship, and that is when love thrives. It's in this space of mutual respect and detachment that true love can grow and flourish. Conclusion: men are drawn to women who detach not because they are distant or unapproachable, but because they exude confidence, independence, and self-respect. They are not looking for someone to complete them. They are already complete. When a woman practices detachment, she attracts the kind of man who values her, not out of need, but out of respect. So remember, this detachment isn't about running away from love. It's about drawing love towards you through strength and self-assurance. As you walk this path, you will find that the man who truly sees your worth will never be able to resist you. Detachment is often misunderstood in today's world, especially when it comes to relationships. Many people associate detachment with coldness or withdrawal, thinking that it means stepping away from connection, love, or intimacy. However, true detachment is not about removing yourself from the world or becoming emotionally unavailable. It's about creating a healthy sense of independence and self-respect. It is the ability to stand strong on your own, knowing your worth, and not depending on others for validation or approval. A woman who practices detachment does not cling to others for emotional support or attention, because she understands that her happiness and value come from within, not from external sources. When a woman detaches, she takes control of her own emotional life. She is not driven by insecurity or the need to prove herself to others. Instead, she recognizes that her worth is inherent, and it does not depend on someone else's opinion or affection. This kind of emotional self-sufficiency is what makes her so attractive, because it radiates strength and confidence. People, especially men, are drawn to that kind of energy because it is rare and magnetic. In a world where so many people are constantly seeking validation or approval from others, a woman who is emotionally independent stands out. Detachment is not about being distant or unapproachable. It's about having the strength to be whole on your own. This self-sufficiency doesn't mean a woman doesn't need others or isn't open to love, but rather that she is not dependent on others to feel complete. She understands that she is already complete as she is. When you detach, you stop seeking affection or attention to fill an emotional void. Instead, you seek meaningful connections that add value to your life, not because you need them, but because you want them. You no longer chase after love, but instead you let love find you, because it is drawn to your authenticity and self-assurance. This kind of detachment allows a woman to make choices based on her own values, not out of fear of being alone or out of desperation. It frees her from the pressure of needing to be loved or validated by anyone, which makes her more authentic and in turn more attractive. When a woman is detached in this way, she doesn't settle for relationships that don't honor her worth. She doesn't allow anyone to treat her as less than she deserves, because she knows that her value is not determined by someone else's behavior or treatment of her. She does not chase after men who don't respect her, and she is not afraid to walk away from relationships that do not serve her growth and happiness. The power of detachment is that it allows a woman to maintain her boundaries. She does not allow her emotions to be controlled by others, and she does not let her happiness be dependent on whether or not she is getting attention or love from a particular person. This emotional independence makes her even more desirable, because it shows that she is not easily swayed or manipulated. She is not desperate for affection, but instead she attracts it naturally through her confidence, self-respect, and inner strength. Her detachment is not a sign of coldness, but a sign of her ability to thrive on her own and choose relationships that add true value to her life. In the end, detachment is about balance. It's about knowing when to invest emotionally and when to step back and focus on your own well-being. It's about having the emotional maturity to understand that your worth does not depend on someone else's feelings or actions. A woman who practices detachment is someone who respects herself enough to not compromise her values or her emotional health for the sake of anyone else. It's this sense of self-respect, combined with emotional independence, that makes her irresistible. Attraction is a complex and often misunderstood aspect of human relationships. Many people believe that attraction is purely physical, that it's about how you look, how you dress, or how well you can impress others. While these things can certainly play a role, they are far from the most important factors in creating lasting and meaningful connections. In truth, the most powerful form of attraction is rooted in the energy you exude, and one of the most magnetic energies a woman can have is the power of detachment. When a woman practices detachment, she becomes someone who doesn't seek out attention or affection, but instead attracts it naturally through her strength and self-sufficiency. This magnetic pull is something that men cannot resist, and it is precisely because of this detachment that they are drawn to her, often in ways they don't fully understand. Detachment doesn't mean being aloof or unapproachable. It's not about shutting others out or becoming emotionally distant. Instead, it's about not relying on others to validate your worth. When a woman is detached in this sense, she stands firm in her own value. She doesn't need anyone to tell her that she's beautiful, smart, or worthy, because she already knows it. She doesn't chase after affection or seek constant reassurance from others to feel good about herself. Her worth comes from within, and that eternal validation is what makes her so attractive. This is a powerful form of attraction because it's not based on external factors or the approval of others. It's rooted in her own self-awareness and inner strength. When a woman detaches in this way, she frees herself from the need to constantly perform or prove her value to others. She doesn't worry about whether or not she is getting attention or affection from a man. Instead, she focuses on her own personal growth, happiness, and goals. This sense of independence and self-sufficiency makes her more appealing because she is not chasing after love. Her ability to stand strong on her own and be content with herself creates an aura of confidence and power that others cannot help but notice. Men in particular are drawn to this kind of energy because it signals strength, self-respect, and independence, qualities that are highly valued in any relationship. Furthermore, when a woman practices detachment, she is not desperate to please anyone or to seek validation. This can be a refreshing change from the constant emotional neediness that many people, men and women alike, often experience. Men are naturally attracted to women who don't need them for emotional fulfillment because it makes the relationship feel more balanced. It gives them the freedom to pursue a connection based on mutual respect and desire, rather than the pressure of constantly meeting someone else's emotional needs. Men are more likely to value a woman who chooses them because she wants to, not because she needs them to make her feel complete. This dynamic, where a woman doesn't depend on anyone for her emotional well-being, creates a relationship built on respect and equal footing. When a woman is detached, she doesn't fall into the trap of people-pleasing or constantly trying to earn affection. She maintains her boundaries, knows her worth, and doesn't settle for anything less than what she deserves. This attracts men who are truly interested in building a meaningful and balanced connection, rather than seeking someone who will simply fill a gap or validate their own insecurities. Ultimately, the power of detachment in attraction lies in its ability to free both individuals from the need for constant validation or approval. It allows the relationship to grow from a place of mutual respect, independence, and genuine connection. When a woman practices detachment, she doesn't have to chase after love. It comes to her naturally, drawn to her inner strength and self-assurance. And that, my friends, is why men can't resist women who detach. They are drawn to the power, confidence, and emotional independence that come with it. And that magnetic energy is something that will never go unnoticed. The myth of neediness is one of the most pervasive misconceptions when it comes to relationships and attraction. Society often paints a picture of love and companionship as a kind of emotional dependence, where the more you need someone, the more likely you are to find them. This idea is especially prevalent when it comes to women. Many believe that to be loved they must appear constantly available, vulnerable, and eager for attention.
This belief has led countless women to fall into the trap of neediness, thinking that in order to attract or keep a man, they must constantly seek validation and approval. However, nothing could be further from the truth. In reality, men are not drawn to neediness, but rather to strength, independence, and self-sufficiency. The more a woman detaches from the need for constant reassurance or affection, the more attractive she becomes. Neediness is often born out of insecurity, a fear that if you don't show enough attention or affection, you might lose the person you care about. It's the belief that you must always be available, always be there for them, and always be giving in order to keep them interested. While these behaviors might seem loving or caring, they actually stem from a lack of self-assurance and a fear of abandonment. A woman who is needy is often subconsciously putting the needs of the person before her own, abandoning her own emotional needs and desires to satisfy those of the person she is with. She may constantly seek reassurance, wanting to know that she is loved and valued, often at the expense of her own sense of self-worth. But here's the truth. Men are not attracted to neediness. While they may initially appreciate the attention or affection, over time, neediness becomes draining. It creates an unbalanced dynamic in the relationship where one person is always chasing after the other for emotional fulfillment. This dynamic can lead to resentment, frustration, and an unhealthy power imbalance. Men, like women, crave balance in their relationships. They want a partner who is emotionally stable, confident, and self-sufficient, not someone who constantly depends on them to feel validated or secure. On the other hand, a woman who practices detachment, who is not emotionally dependent on her partner, creates a much healthier and more attractive dynamic. Detachment doesn't mean being cold or emotionally unavailable. It simply means not seeking emotional fulfillment from someone else. A detached woman knows that her worth does not rely on the attention or approval of others. She is secure in herself and her own emotional well-being. She doesn't need constant reassurance or validation because she knows her value. When a woman detaches in this way, she stops chasing after love and affection, and instead she allows it to come to her naturally. This sense of independence and emotional stability is incredibly attractive to men because it signals maturity, confidence, and self-respect. The reality is that men want a partner who can stand on her own 2 feet, someone who is emotionally independent and self-sufficient. They don't want to be in a relationship where they feel like they have to constantly fix or care for their partner's emotional needs. Instead, they seek a woman who is confident, grounded, and emotionally mature, someone who brings her own sense of completeness to the relationship. A woman who practices detachment is able to do this, and as a result, she becomes infinitely more attractive. She is not dependent on her partner to make her feel whole, because she already feels whole within herself. Furthermore, detachment allows a woman to maintain her sense of autonomy and self-respect within the relationship. When a woman is not needy, she is more likely to establish healthy boundaries, which are crucial for any successful partnership. She doesn't compromise her own needs or desires just to keep the other person happy. Instead, she maintains her own sense of identity, and this allows the relationship to be built on mutual respect and equality. Men are attracted to women who have their own passions, interests, and goals, because it shows that they are not looking for someone to complete them, but rather to join them in a fulfilling, balanced partnership. In essence, the myth of neediness is just that, a myth. Neediness does not make someone more lovable or more attractive. It often drives people away. On the other hand, detachment, which comes from emotional independence and self-respect, makes a woman incredibly appealing. When a woman practices detachment, she creates space for a relationship that is based on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine love, rather than dependency or insecurity. Men are drawn to women who know their worth, who don't rely on anyone else for emotional fulfillment, and who are capable of standing strong on their own. This is the kind of woman who commands attention and respect, and this is the kind of woman men simply cannot resist. Confidence and independence are two of the most attractive qualities a woman can possess, and both are deeply tied to the concept of detachment. When a woman is detached, she is not emotionally reliant on anyone else for her sense of self-worth. Instead, she derives her value from within, and this inner strength shines through in everything she does. It's this confidence that draws people to her, especially men. A woman who is detached is not seeking to prove herself to others, nor is she chasing after validation or attention. She simply exists in her own power, and that self-assurance is magnetic. Men are not attracted to women who need constant affirmation or reassurance. They are drawn to women who know their worth, who stand confidently in who they are, and who are not afraid to be themselves. When you practice detachment, you are telling the world that you are enough, just as you are. You don't need anyone to complete you, to validate you, or to make you feel good about yourself. You have learned to validate your own worth and live according to your own standards, not the expectations of others. This level of emotional independence is incredibly attractive because it signals to others that you are whole on your own. Men recognize this strength, and they find themselves captivated by it. When a woman doesn't need them to feel complete, they are drawn to her for the right reasons, because they genuinely want to be a part of her life, not because she is desperate for their affection. Independence is another key aspect of detachment that makes a woman irresistible. A woman who is detached is emotionally self-sufficient, meaning she does not rely on others to fill the void in her life. She is comfortable in her own company, and she doesn't feel the need to constantly surround herself with others in order to feel fulfilled. She has her own passions, interests, and goals that are separate from her relationships. This sense of independence is attractive because it demonstrates that she is a complete person, not someone who is looking to someone else to complete her. Men are naturally drawn to women who are emotionally independent because it shows that they are capable of having a healthy, balanced relationship where both partners bring something unique to the table without becoming overly reliant on each other for their happiness or emotional well-being. Furthermore, a detached woman doesn't rush into relationships out of fear of being alone. She values her own time, energy, and emotional resources, and she is selective about who she allows into her life. This creates a sense of rarity, and rarity is always attractive. When men see that a woman is not chasing after them or seeking their attention, they often find themselves more intrigued. There's something about a woman who is unattainable, not because she is unapproachable, but because she doesn't need anyone to validate her existence. Her independence is a quiet but powerful force that makes her stand out from the crowd. This confidence and independence are not about arrogance. Rather, they are about self-assurance. A woman who practices detachment knows her own value and does not need to shout it from the rooftops. She doesn't need to constantly remind others of how great she is, because her actions speak louder than words. Her confidence is rooted in the understanding that she doesn't need anyone else to define her. This kind of emotional strength and self-respect makes her incredibly attractive, because it signals that she is secure in herself, and is not dependent on anyone else for her happiness. Men in particular are drawn to women who exhibit these qualities, because they know that they are in the presence of someone who is not looking for a relationship to complete her, but rather to enhance her life. A confident and independent woman is someone who can offer a partnership based on equality, where both individuals bring their best selves to the table. This creates a healthy, dynamic relationship built on mutual respect and admiration, rather than dependency or insecurity. Men respect a woman who values herself enough to maintain her boundaries, pursue her own goals, and stand strong in who she is. In conclusion, confidence and independence are key components of detachment that make a woman irresistible. When a woman is detached, she doesn't need anyone to complete her or validate her worth. She is secure in herself, and this self-assurance is what draws men to her. It's not about being aloof or emotionally unavailable. It's about being emotionally self-sufficient, knowing your worth, and being comfortable with who you are. This emotional independence creates a powerful magnetism that is impossible to resist, because it signals strength, self-respect, and an inner confidence that is incredibly attractive. Boundaries are an essential element of any healthy relationship, and they are especially important for a woman who practices detachment. The concept of boundaries often gets overlooked or misunderstood, especially in a world where people are encouraged to be constantly available and emotionally available to others. A woman who practices detachment understands the importance of setting boundaries, both with herself and with others. These boundaries allow her to protect her emotional well-being, maintain her sense of self, and avoid being manipulated or drained by others. This ability to set and maintain clear boundaries is one of the most powerful and attractive aspects of a detached woman. When a woman sets boundaries, she is essentially saying, "This is who I am, and I will not allow anyone to cross this line without my consent." She recognizes her worth and refuses to let anyone disrespect her or take advantage of her emotional energy. Men in particular are drawn to women who have strong boundaries because they see that she is someone who respects herself enough to not tolerate disrespect or mistreatment. A woman who is willing to walk away from situations or people that do not serve her growth or happiness is seen as someone with high self-worth. This kind of strength is incredibly attractive because it shows that she values herself enough to stand firm in her beliefs and protect her emotional health. Setting boundaries is not about being harsh or unapproachable. It's about knowing where you end and where someone else begins. A detached woman understands that her emotional energy is valuable, and she does not freely give it to anyone who does not respect her boundaries. This means she is selective about who she lets into her life and how much emotional investment she is willing to make. She doesn't allow herself to be overwhelmed by other people's problems or demands, and she is not afraid to say no when something does not align with her values or desires. This strength of character and emotional self-sufficiency makes her incredibly appealing to men, because they see her as someone who knows how to protect her heart and her mind from unnecessary emotional drain. Moreover, boundaries create a sense of safety and trust in relationships. When they use it shows that the relationship is built on equality, respect, and the understanding that both individuals are responsible for their own emotional well-being. In conclusion, boundaries are one of the most powerful to a woman. Is clear about her boundaries. She communicates her expectations and makes it clear that she will not tolerate behavior that goes against those expectations. This creates a stable and predictable dynamic, which is something that is highly valued in any relationship.
Men appreciate knowing where they stand with a woman, and what is acceptable and unacceptable in terms of behavior. A woman who practices detachment knows that setting these boundaries helps build a foundation of mutual respect, and this allows for a healthier, more fulfilling connection between both partners. Furthermore, boundaries in relationships allow a woman to maintain her sense of independence while still fostering connection. A woman who detaches emotionally is not afraid to spend time on her own, pursue her own interests, and maintain her own sense of identity. This allows her to enter relationships from a place of strength and emotional clarity. She is not looking for someone to complete her, or to fill an emotional void. Instead, she seeks a relationship that adds to her life in meaningful and positive ways. By maintaining her boundaries, she ensures that she remains true to herself and does not lose her sense of self in the process of building a relationship. This sense of autonomy and self-respect is incredibly attractive, because it signals that she is not emotionally dependent on anyone for her happiness or self-worth.
The power of boundaries also lies in the fact that they create an environment in which mutual respect and emotional growth can flourish. When both partners in a relationship respect each other's boundaries, they create a space where both individuals can thrive as individuals and as a couple. A woman who practices detachment understands that her own growth and well-being are just as important as the growth of the relationship. She is not willing to compromise her boundaries or emotional health for the sake of anyone else, and this creates a balanced and harmonious dynamic. Men are drawn to this kind of strength because a detached woman can use to maintain her emotional health and to create healthy, respectful relationships. By setting clear boundaries, she communicates her self-respect and emotional independence, which makes her incredibly attractive to men. Boundaries allow a woman to protect her emotional energy, maintain her sense of self, and avoid being manipulated or drained by others. They create an environment of mutual respect and emotional growth, which is the foundation of any successful relationship. Men are drawn to women who know their worth, who can set boundaries with confidence, and who value their emotional health above all else. The concept of self-love is often misunderstood, especially in the context of relationships. Many people tend to believe that in order to be loved, they must first give all of their love to others. While selflessness and care for others are admirable qualities, there is a profound power in loving yourself first. A woman who practices detachment understands the importance of self-love and how it ties into her emotional independence. When a woman loves herself, she naturally attracts the right kind of love and affection, because she no longer feels the need to chase after it. This self-love creates a magnetic pull that draws others to her, especially men, who find themselves drawn to her inner peace, self-assurance, and emotional strength. Self-love is not about being narcissistic or self-centered. Rather, it is about recognizing your own worth and treating yourself with the respect, kindness, and care that you deserve. A woman who practices detachment knows that her happiness, fulfillment, and emotional well-being are her responsibility. She does not rely on anyone else to make her feel valued or validated. Instead, she provides that sense of worth for herself, and it is this inner security that makes her incredibly attractive to others. Men are drawn to women who love themselves because it signals that she is emotionally healthy, emotionally available, and capable of offering the same kind of love and care in a relationship. When a woman practices self-love, she cultivates a sense of emotional strength and stability that radiates outward. This emotional security is magnetic because it is not dependent on external factors. She does not need anyone else to tell her she is beautiful, worthy, or loved, because she already knows it. This kind of inner confidence is incredibly appealing because it shows that she is self-sufficient and emotionally independent. Men are often captivated by this kind of woman because they recognize that she is not looking for someone to complete her or fill an emotional void. Instead, she is looking for a partnership that complements her already fulfilled life. The key to self-love is understanding that you are already whole, regardless of your relationship status or the attention you receive from others. A detached woman embraces her own worth and prioritizes her emotional well-being above all else. She knows that in order to give love to someone else, she must first be able to give love to herself. This self-love provides her with the strength to set boundaries, to walk away from toxic situations, and to maintain her sense of self in all aspects of her life. It is this strength that makes her stand out to men. A woman who practices self-love is confident, secure, and grounded in who she is. This makes her the kind of woman men are naturally attracted to. Moreover, self-love allows a woman to maintain her independence and emotional autonomy. When a woman loves herself, she is not looking for someone else to fulfill her emotional needs. She does not depend on a man for validation, affection, or happiness. Instead, she is already content and fulfilled on her own, and any relationship she enters into is based on mutual respect, admiration, and a desire to build a meaningful connection. Men are drawn to women who do not need them to feel complete, because it creates a more balanced and fulfilling dynamic. In relationships where both partners are emotionally secure and self-sufficient, love can flourish without the pressure of dependency or expectation. Another benefit of self-love is that it fosters a sense of emotional health and well-being that makes a woman more approachable and desirable. A woman who loves herself is more likely to be emotionally available, not because she is emotionally dependent, but because she is emotionally stable. She has healed from past hurts, knows how to manage her emotions, and is able to engage in relationships from a place of wholeness. Men are naturally attracted to women who are emotionally healthy because it creates a sense of safety and security within the relationship. A woman who practices self-love brings her best self to the table, and this makes her a valuable and desirable partner. In conclusion, self-love is an essential component of detachment and is a key factor in making a woman irresistible. When a woman loves herself, she exudes emotional strength, independence, and confidence, all of which are incredibly attractive to men. This self-love allows her to maintain her emotional autonomy, set boundaries, and prioritize her well-being, creating a healthy and balanced dynamic in relationships. Men are drawn to women who know their worth, who are emotionally secure, and who are not dependent on anyone else for validation or happiness. A woman who practices self-love is the kind of woman who attracts the love, respect, and admiration she deserves. In conclusion, the power of detachment lies not in being emotionally unavailable, but in knowing your own worth, setting healthy boundaries, and practicing self-love. A woman who detaches from the need to seek constant validation or affection becomes emotionally independent, confident, and magnetic. It is this sense of inner strength and self-sufficiency that attracts the right kind of attention that is built on mutual respect and genuine admiration, rather than dependency or insecurity. By practicing detachment, a woman becomes more than just a partner in a relationship. She becomes a whole, complete individual who brings her best self to the table. Men in particular are drawn to women who are emotionally stable, self-assured, and independent. They seek partners who are secure in their own identity and who don't need constant validation. This creates a relationship dynamic that is healthy, balanced, and built on mutual respect. Detachment allows a woman to stand strong in her sense of self, avoid emotional manipulation, and foster connections based on genuine love and respect. So if you want to become a woman who is irresistible, remember this: detach from the need for validation, set boundaries that protect your emotional health, love yourself unconditionally, and embrace your independence. It's this emotional strength and self-confidence that will make you not just noticed, but truly desired. May you walk confidently in your power, embracing your worth, and understanding that the most attractive thing you can offer to the world is the fullness of who you are. When you do, you'll find that the world, especially men, cannot resist the allure of a woman who has detached from the need to chase after love and simply lives in her truth.